Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back with another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Monday, April 30th, and we made it on the European account at least to rank 21 instead of rank 22. So we were one rank higher. This is feeling rather insulting with this new ranking system, and I'm not having fun with it. Frankly, not having a lot of fun with Hearthstone today at all. I've spent 2 hours now trying to get a single victory with a mage. It shouldn't be happening. Even for the dumbest of dumb players, which maybe I am the dumbest of dumb players, but seriously, like, I shouldn't be spending 2 hours in a game and not getting any victory or any reward for it. I got 25 dust from being at rank 21. I got 30 gold for being at rank 22. Neither one of those rewards super helpful. And now we're back to rank 25. And we need to get 5 ranked victories in this month. The new expansion certainly did eat up a ton of time that could have been spent playing other games. But we're still kind of doing the hunt. And remember, I had to play this weekend specifically to just free up enough daily quests so I would have only 3 daily quests here. Right, so if we have a mage and shaman, so if I get rid of this one, this is gonna suck. Anyways, so I did all the solo adventure, because I did all the solo adventure, I get to open these packs to start off with. But there's still also Monster Hunt solo adventure stuff that needs to be done. For the main account, I'm still trying to defeat the Time Tinkerer Monster Hunt, so I can make some footage to facing Hagatha, the final boss. And that's not going to happen anytime soon, with all these daily quests taking up my time. I still have a ton of news also because of the outage that happened on Friday. I got a legendary and a pack earlier today. Legendary and then the epic, which was quite a nice reward, I suppose. But I don't suppose we can expect to get so lucky twice. So for the European strategy, like, none of that was dust at all. I suppose what I want to do for the European account is try and have as much dust as possible to see if I can craft some cards and get rid of these gold ones in particular. That way we can have more dust. Disenchant this for 100 dust. Is that all cards that are new? There you go. Okay. Now to the card actually playing. Shaman. We need a shaman victory. We need a lot of victories. Custom shaman or battlecry shaman, I guess. That's my 2 options. We'll start with battlecry shaman and move on. And I guess since this is my 3rd recording, I'm very possibly going to make a 4th recording just to get to the Americas account, unless I get really lucky and get 2 or 3 quick disconnects. And disconnects are kind of all I need. Like, I need victories. I don't need to play any cards. The first game for this recording we have on Steam is called Space Googie. It's an action simulator indie. What is this? Seems like it's a really poorly animated space 3D space flying simulator game. Like every screenshot looks exactly the same. Pretty bad. 40% off for 59 cents. And I still think they're ripping you off at that price. Like one positive review that says just game of the year, which is BS. It's from somebody who's been making some fake games and flooding Steam with these. Like, let's come back into our flag thing. Can we flag a game? Report this product for being broken. No, harmful. Fake games. Yep, there's still no fake game category. Even though we now know that's what they internally call them at Steam. There's no way for people to flag something as a fake game. Let's see. Next game we have is Lighter Than AR instead of AIR. It's an indie simulation walking simulator. It seems $4.99 for a VR game. Seems like you can charge 10 times as much for a VR game. That's nothing compared to a regular game. Requires Vive. It seems like this game actually might have some use. It does. I mean, for the most part, it is just asset flips, and you're getting into hot air balloons and flying around in hot air balloons. But if you were afraid of heights, I feel like this probably would be a very good software for immersion therapy, of where you put on the VR and you get in the virtual balloon and it flies higher and higher. That's about the only use that, I mean, though most people, I suppose, don't have the opportunity to get into hot air balloons and fly around. I've never done it, certainly, but yeah, that's alright. What's interesting is the developer and publisher is labeled as Constantly New Corporation, as in everybody just constantly puts a new name under this list as far as who's making this game and publishing this game. I wouldn't be surprised if for the top 100 fake game creators, there's actually only 25 actual entities or corporations making them and just going under multiple names. Let's see. We have a game called Hover X Souls. It's an infinite runner with like really bad graphics. It looks like Flappy Bird with a shield. But all the animation is like pencil drawn, terrible drawings. What I want to do? Play this. Then play this. And then play this. And then the turn. $4.99 for Hover X Souls. I don't think anybody would want to play this for $5. it's the second game made by this developer. The previous game was called Nightmare of Azeroth. No, Azathoth. Azathot. And that is rated 63% of 22 users find that positive. And that was only 99 cents for that game. So a mixed review for somebody doing what I think they've done is an asset flip, but they've taken all the color out. And that might explain why the first time this developer has this 3D environment asset flip looking game in black and white and very, very dark. And then the second one they come out with is just hand-drawn terrible animation. Is because they second time around tried to actually animate it themselves. Moving on, the next game we have is called ElectroQuest Resistance is Futile, which is an interesting pun nonetheless, if nothing more. It looks like it's a puzzle physics simulation game with electricity. Now, there is this weirdness, certainly with like doing a puzzle game and trying to teach electricity. You could be teaching the wrong thing, you could be teaching total garbage, and you could be like not doing anything helpful at all. But around all of that, you also have a slight issue where I've never really seen a really, really good quality educational software for electricity and teaching electronics. Fixing electronics and such is so hands-on. And frankly, what electronics were when like 10, 20, 30 years ago are not what electronics are today with microchips and elements like that. And so the schools that can teach it in high school often are teaching how to fix TVs from 30 years ago when nobody would fix a TV, or how to fix radios and how to build radios. I know I took an electronics class in high school and I built a crystal radio from a kit, and like nobody's gonna build a radio or fix a radio. And they were fixing TVs right as the tube TVs, right as flat TVs were coming in, and nobody seriously would do that. That being said, this game does actually look like it might be doing good. It's 20% off for $3.19. And it seems like it's trying to teach the things the way somebody may have learned electronics. 10 achievements. Let's see, 30 challenges is not a lot. That's a really high price for 30 challenges. And no reviews. And I'm just looking at the games that are similar. And there's one called Zup that's getting recommended. And one called Balls and Magnets that's getting recommended. But none of those look good. So I'm gonna keep ElectroQuest in my wish list, but I'm gonna try to find a better like a better version of electronics game. Like I think that would suit things better. Let's see. Next game we have is called Fabulous Angela's Wedding Disaster. I believe the Angela series is this cell phone game. Yeah, it is. It's a uh, restaurant series of games where you're delivering orders, except for they put it as a split spin this time, and instead of running a restaurant, now you're running a fashion store, so the customers come and ask you for clothes instead of food. The Angela series is kind of a ripoff, or I guess it's called the Delicious series because there's also Emily that's under the Delicious series. And there's also a Fabulous series. All of these games are way too expensive though. They're $12.99 to play on Steam. I assume they don't have any microtransactions in them. And they kind of do have this storyline to them. So there's some slight weirdness there too. Give a minion attack this turn. Yeah, I couldn't ever recommend buying this game on the on your PC though. Like, why would you want a cell phone port? But it is probably one of the highest quality cell phone games for bad cell phone games out there. Moving on, Gematsu has an article that Bandai Namco has trademarked Battle Breeders in Japan. Let's see. It sounds like that could be something like the monster raising variety type game, Digimon possibly. Like, I don't know what else you could really do with a name like Battle Breeders without going into something really crazy and potentially offensive. Let's see. Give a friendly thing attack 2 this turn. Let's do this. And attack here. And take this and kill this. And then I'll just take this. And in the turn. That's a really short article. Is that news really worth covering? I really have to ask if somebody just trademarks a phrase that may never get used. Had I read this article, I wouldn't have mentioned to talk about it. Because, yeah, there's really nothing there. Moving on. Marvel In Time Arena is available on Steam. And oddly, it's being developed and published by a company called Smilegate Entertainment. And it looks like it is Marvel Avengers characters. So they've either blatantly, obviously spent a lot of effort here. This is not like a bad quality port either. Like, they've either spent a lot of effort here to port this game and make this game without a license, or they do have a license. Okay, here's the thing. English language not supported. Currently, this publisher has only made this game available in South Korea. It may be available in other countries in the future. So it's only South Korean players and open world MMO free-to-play arena battle for Marvel, as probably an advertisement. And maybe that's the deal. Anyways, even at that, 65% of the 35 reviewers have really rated it positively, so it's not even doing well in South Korea. Do I play this or do I hold on to this? I'm just gonna hold on to these. Yeah, I can't really see anything here in this game. While it does look nice and does look polished, I'm not sure what I want in a Marvel game, but I'm pretty sure I don't want something that looks like Dota, and this looks a lot like Dota. I don't think I want a MOBA real-time strategy type game. Next game we have is a game called World Quest. It's 66 of 12 users rating it positively. Maybe we finally hit the point where users are just tired of garbage on Steam, and so they are going to intentionally start downrating bad games. This game in particular, World Quest, looks downright awful. Just first year computer programming level graphics, something that you wouldn't expect from like a mid 80s PC game. Lack of detail, lack of shadowing, tile based animation. Let's see. I believe it's a free game and it's mixed reviews. It's the only game from these developers and publishers. It has an all-time peak of 20 people, so you get about 5 times, is that right? 4 or 5 times as many players for a brand new game if it's free versus one that costs money. This came out April 29th. But that doesn't work its way down towards any actual profit or success, because you're still very much not selling your product well. It's multiplayer with online multiplayer. I'm surprised it even has that. Let's see, the negative reviews is, here's the first not recommended review. Is, well, first thing I noticed, they use stolen assets for the game. They use textures from World of Warcraft's loot chests. Game needs to stop cutting corners. This game is legitimately fun and can be even more so if they use assets that aren't taken from other games. Let's see. And remember, the responses on these things are optional now. You have to click a box for a developer. So theoretically, a developer wouldn't be able to respond to accusations of stolen assets, but this guy was able to, so he must have clicked the box. Let's see. Let's draw a card. There we go. The developer said the art assets are not stolen. All of the art was either drawn by one of our friends or borrowed. Now the problem here is the first thing that they're saying that they stole the death sounds from Command and Conquer Tiberian Sun, and that they took the textures from Warcraft's loot chests. They're saying they either bought or borrowed from online open source sites like opengameart.org. So maybe opengameart.org has a bunch of stolen assets on it. Who knows? It's possible. Finally I can get these move forward here. Uh, they say the textures were definitely not taken from World of Warcraft. If anything looks similar to some of the stuff from Loot Chest, it's definitely a coincidence. In terms of death sound effects, they were borrowed from another open source online platform, and we assumed that were original and legitimate. No idea it came from old Command and Conquer game. Thanks for bringing it to my attention, and we'll resolve this issue in the next client update. Sorry for the misunderstanding. So he's even admitting that one of them is a stolen asset. Frankly, you probably have to source all of your elements a lot better if you're gonna release a game. I mean, that's why you have legal departments. Somebody here is at least talking. This isn't an effort to flip out a bad game and just see how much money you can make. Which is kind of interesting, certainly. If I play this. And then do this. And then do this. There was really no reason to do that. That was dumb. But in no way can I suggest World Quest. Like, stolen assets or not, it still looks like garbage. It looks like total garbage. If you were going to steal assets, you should at least steal better assets, so your game looks good. Moving on, we have a game called Little Marisa's Disaster Journal. Let's see. 40% off for 59 cents. I figured it would be something along that lines. I made this longer on myself by killing all those characters for no reason. That was dumb. Says it's an adventure indie platformer. It too looks like a first year computer programming level of animation, where a programmer would just not have anything to work with. Looks totally like garbage. From a different developer, different publisher, but who knows? Could be all the same people. No reviews, not surprising. Because why would anybody review a game that looks so bad? Why would you even spend 60 cents? Let's see. There are some reviews, but they're all in Chinese, Japanese. Some Asian characters. Seems like... Here we go. We'll play this and we'll win. It seems like Asian countries are often more willing to give some of these lower quality looking games. I guess I started with more stars than at 0 stars. That's interesting. Okay. So now can we continue the win streak? That was really long game. PC Gamer has an article. Chernobyl Light is a survival horror game about Chernobyl disaster from the Farm 51. So this is probably an advertisement in the form of an article. There's no release date. There's no anything. Farm 51 made the game Get Even, which they rated 66 out of 100, which is a pretty incredibly low rating. Get Even is on Steam, it says right now, for $29.99, and frankly it's a weird combination of a escape the room puzzle game and a first person shooter and a horror game all mixed together in such a bad way. I might spend $5 on this game when it first came out. But heck, I might even at some point get so desperate for games I'd spend $5 on it now, but I wouldn't spend a penny above that. And I'm sure you could find a lot better games. Are we gonna disconnect here? PC Gamer has an interesting article, because we kind of complained about this just a few days ago, where the Devolver Digital employee, maybe this is a different employee because this is the Devolver Digital founder that says this. They were complaining about how gamers are jerks and they're mean to them, and you know, just kind of whining and being a snowflake. And I'm like, well, get off Twitter if you're gonna be upset because people criticize you or say mean things to you. Like, if you can't handle it, that's fine. You're creative. Like, I don't mind if every creative video game creator was not on Twitter and not on any of those services because they were just focused on making art and making their own creations, and staying in a positive mindset. But then PC Gamer's own agenda is kind of to say gamers are dead and all gamers are toxic, and they've been saying that for at least a month now straight on a weekly basis. And frankly, I still don't see it and don't believe it. Tragic Master said, good game. Thank you, Tragic. Like, when I'm streaming 3 times a week and we have people like Tragic on the chat saying good game and people being nice to me, like, it's been probably 2 or 3 months that where anybody has tried to do anything even slightly nasty to me on the chat. And when it happens on the chat, or when somebody puts up a nasty comment on my videos, I usually just delete it, you know, and move on with my day and forget about it. It's that simple. And if they have some salient points, I might just leave it up there if it's a little bit nasty but making a good point. Usually it isn't. Usually it's pure hate and vitriol and no good points. Or no points at all. Anyways, though, this article is Devolver Digital says shameful developer workload is an industry's dirty, dirty secret. There's an awful lot of people there that are being misused and abused. That's absolutely the truth. And that was kind of my feeling too, is that if people are frustrated, and I may have to exit out here because I don't know if this is going to work. If video game creators are upset with anybody, they should certainly be upset with their bosses who are making them work crunch and abusing them and overworking them. And they should take a perspective, take a mental inventory. What is causing me the most frustration in my life? Is it this nobody on Twitter who's insulting me, or these 100 nobodies on Twitter that are insulting me, these trolls? Or is it the person who is actively underpaying me, overworking me, underinsuring me with healthcare, overworking me so my healthcare needs go up? Like, who's really hurting you here? Is it your boss or is it the troll? And I think you probably would say it's your boss. Now, the thing about Devolver Digital to take from this, though, is Devolver Digital, for the most part, is just a publisher. And they're not hiring that many people anyways. So they can say this without also really having a problem. And anytime any founder says something like that, there very possibly is going to be somebody who comes out and says, that's funny you said that because I felt like you overworked me. Because there's always going to be some disgruntled employee that's going to feel that way. So you're opening yourself up to some criticism. But it's practically impossible to say it's not true. Like, there might be some job out there where you make games where you're laid back. I suppose the developer of Yandere Simulator is probably the most laid-back video game developer ever, because he's got a Patreon and all he has to do is make some updates, make a few changes, and tell a good story, and people will continue to support him, even though in all realisticness he's never going to finish his project. He just doesn't have it within himself. He needs a boss that would overwork him a little bit and make him finish. He needs a producer that would tell him, look, no more features, this is the roadmap, this is what you're going to get done, you're going to put out a 1.0 version of this game, and then any new ideas end up in Yandere Simulator 2. Frankly, he spent so much time on it that Yandere Simulator won't get any sales anyways, because it won't be able to be streamed on YouTube or Google or Twitch, yeah, and that would be the most people that would want to buy that game, is people who would want to stream it. PC Gamer has another article, the most controversial PC games. A deep dive into Metacritic data unearthed the PC games that were loved and hated in equal measure. And I think the idea here is to talk about games that were either loved or hated by the... Oh, darn it. Well, maybe this will work. Hey, looky there. So yeah, it's supposed to be games I think loved and hated by the audience versus the reviewers. So the first category is PC games users reviewers. PC game user reviews loved more than critics. So the review average, what, like, how are you supposed to do this? They didn't balance this out at all. So they're saying Leisure Suit Larry Reloaded has a review average of 58.8%, but a user average of 8.3%. So I suppose, since one is clearly on a 10-point scale and one is clearly on a 100-point scale, I suppose what I'm going to have to do here is just multiply by 10 to balance this out. So adjusted scales, that worked good. Would be the reviewers gave it 58.8, the users gave it 83. That seems like that would make a lot of sense. Like, if PC game reviewers at the time that Leisure Suit Larry Reloaded came out, and they probably were in a particularly SJW feeling, and they all decided they hated Leisure Suit Larry Reloaded because of that, I could see why they have nearly half as high of a score. Could also be that people actually liked the original point-and-click adventures of Leisure Suit Larry games and were just not happy with the Reloaded game, which expanded it. It could also be that actual users are just very highly rating kind of a bad game there, because I've seen people play Leisure Suit Larry Reloaded and it is kind of a bad game. Next game is Rise and Fall Civilizations at War. Reviewers gave it 63.8, users gave it 87. Next game is Counter-Strike Condition Zero. Reviewers gave it 65.6, users gave it 87. Crater, K-R-A-T-R, never heard that one. Reviewers gave it 54.2, users gave it 72. I bet there weren't too many users that reviewed that one. Deadfall Adventures. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and skip some of these because there's too many, and we're gonna get into another list anyways. So you can read the full list on PC Gamer. Tesla Affected Tex Murphy Adventure got a user reviews of 68.4. No, user review of 85, but a actual reviewer's review of 68.4. Let's see what else would be interesting. Killing Floor, for instance, 71.8 for reviewers. Users gave it 86. Serious Sam HD, The First Encounter, reviewers gave it 68.7. Users gave it 81. Most of these are a lot closer than Leisure Suit Reloaded. Let's see. Want to draw Murlocs? There's a game called Singles Flood Up Your Life, which got a 58.4 from reviewers and a 75 from users. Particularly if you're gonna see any kind of division there, I think it is from a lot of people who are approaching the raunchy sex games that don't have the right perspective from the beginning on that. Like, they're not approaching it because they wanted to approach it in the first place, but because they were assigned to approach it, and thus they're doing a poor job reviewing it, knowing what it is and knowing what its desired goal and desired outcome is. You see somewhat of a similar thing where the Porky's style raunchy teenage comedy movies are sometimes not reviewed very well or very highly because of who was sent to go and review it. So then the most controversial games list, that was the list of users reviewed. Reviewers loved more than critics. So users loved it more than the critics did. Most controversial list, I suppose, is the opposite. Or no, it's a standard deviation, I guess. So, like, the Beginner's Guide had a review of 74.5 with a standard deviation of 18.6. X3 Reunion had a review average of 73.4 with a standard deviation of 18.9. So it's looking at what was the difference between different reviewers as far as the deviation. I assume these are in order, so X3 Reunion is the most surprising. No, Leisure Suit Larry Reloaded is the most recent one. I was thinking about Leisure Suit Larry Magna Cum Laude, which is the bad game. Although Reloaded probably is a bad game too. And it's on this list with a review of 59.7 with a standard deviation of 18.4. Let's see what else is here. Duke Nukem Forever is 54.7 with a standard deviation of 16.6. Above Duke Nukem Forever is Goat Simulator with a review average of 63.4 with a standard deviation of 16.8. Again, a game I imagine that drastically gets different scores depending on whether or not you know what you're in for and you can appreciate it. Let's see, SimCity, I assume 165.6, standard deviation of 16.3. Singles floated up is again 58.4 with a standard deviation of 16.2. And just to explain standard deviation, that means, well, I don't know what it means actually. I believe it means that the highest score on average was 16.2 points of the 58.4, higher or lower than that. So there was, on average, balancing out the people who gave it a 0 and the people who gave it 100. On average, it was getting low scores as low as 42.2 and as high as 74.6. Let's see what this, if there's another list. No, just those two lists. What did I learn from this article, though? Not really too much. Dear Esther had a review of 76.3 with a standard deviation of 16.2 also. Just kind of, like, none of these games seem controversial for any real reason. There's definitely some sex games, Duke Nukem Forever, some weird games like Goat Simulator. Virginia is listed here with a review of 74 with a standard deviation of 17.9. I can practically tell you the reason why Virginia is so wildly different. It's because half of the video game industry were friends and knew the creator of that game. Therefore they were giving it a higher score than it deserved. Probably similar things for Dear Esther and maybe even Duke Nukem Forever with Gearbox. But none of these are like you don't see a Wolfenstein game here where it's like, oh, you fight Hitler in Wolfenstein 3D, therefore it's controversial, therefore a lot of people are rating it very high, and okay. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then do this, and then do this. This is interesting that this card is not labeled as an Echo card. I'm pretty sure this card came out before the Echo mechanic, but it's the exact same thing. So I got it up to a 7. I probably could have gotten it up to a higher score. See, I wasted a lot of time reading that article too for no real reason. There's other games to cover. There's a game called Longboard Stunts and Tricks. Let's trying to look at this. The characters probably are pre-bought asset flips. I wouldn't call this an asset flip game, but pre-bought assets. It's hard to kind of make sure to explain the difference. It's the first game by this developer. It's 30% off for $3.49. It came out the 29th. It has one user review. Let's see if we can read it. Let's see. Not recommended. This game consists of riding a skateboard down the road to get to the goal. There's all to it. The levels are always the same 2 roads with small insignificant changes. Maybe some boost will be added or a few obstacles, but other than that, nothing really. Each stage consists of 3 races, and it goes on this article for quite a while and has a YouTube link. So I would be interested in a skateboarding, longboarding. I don't know how much of a difference there really is between making a skateboarding game and a longboarding game. If anything, I'd imagine is harder and there are fewer tricks you can do on a longboard game, and you'd be better off just making a skateboarding game. Unfortunately, the More Like This recommendations on Steam, which is awful, does not depict any skateboarding games. I know there are skateboarding games out there, but yep, longboard stunts and tricks is not even, it doesn't even seem like that's what you're actually doing. So a skip from that. Suppose to keep it interesting, we'll come over and play this gentleman. PC Gamer has a article, The History of Wolfenstein. I'm not sure I really need to read it since I just recently covered Wolfenstein games, and for the most part I think I know everything there is to know about Wolfenstein that's worth knowing. Yep, it's a pretty long article if anybody's interested. Like, Wolfenstein's history is interesting, certainly, because it's like the first Wolfenstein isn't made by the person who made Wolfenstein 3D, and then Wolfenstein 3D and Wolfenstein Spear of Destiny came out, and then they kind of licensed it, I think, to a different company to make some console games that people probably don't remember. And then the main Wolfenstein reboot came out, and Bethesda owns all of that, so now they're doing something pretty different. A little different, at least. Moving on, Gematsu has an article. God Eater 3 is developed by Marvelous First Studio. Series development house Shift nowhere to be seen. So, while previous entries in the God Eater series were developed by Shift, God Eater 3 is being developed by Marvelous First Studio. Bandai Namco announced during the God Eater 3 early hands-on and develop summit. So that's room for a little concern, like a very small amount of concern that there's a new team making the third game in your trilogy. But who knows? God Eater 3 will be released worldwide for PS4 and PC. God Eater is the Monster Hunter game if you want to fight some creatures, more metallic based monster, instead of more like dragons and such, and probably not have quite as much of a intricate system like Monster Hunter has. Monster Hunter has a lot of inventory management and sharpening your blade and getting food and preparing and scents and just a lot of systems on top of it, where I think God Eater might be a little bit more simpler. And I believe you can play God Eater 2 on Steam without me looking it up, but I don't believe 1 is on Steam. So I'll be interested to see if that makes any progress. TechRaptor has an article, and this is a good point. I've gone about 2 hours since I've mentioned the TechRaptor article, because they just don't write that many articles, which is great, because the last thing I need is another PC gamer that is going to write 5 articles a day. TechRaptor's article, though, is 15 arrests made in connection with PUBG cheaters. PUBG Corporation was released. PUBG Corp released a statement. 15 major suspects, including a list of a bunch of Chinese names, and were arrested for developing hack programs, hosting marketplace for hack programs, and brokering transactions. Currently, the suspects have been fined approximately 3 million RMB, whatever that is, or 5.1 US dollars. Other suspects related to the case are still being investigated. Some hack programs included Trojan horse backdoor viruses, which were used to then scan and steal information from people who installed the PUBG hack, which, I mean, there was a very high prevalence of people, it seemed, at least that's what the stories are being reported, of Chinese PUBG players buying hacks, using hacks. I don't know why people so desperately wanted to do that, but I imagine what happened is that you could make money doing it, because you could get PUBG items by using hacks and then selling the hacks to the items to make actual money. Again, that's a great example of, if somebody was just going to be cruel and put up that Chinese firewall to say poor countries can't play games or can't upload YouTubes because they're gonna try to manipulate the system to make a few pennies, that would certainly eliminate a lot of fraud, but it would also be an unfair, cruel action. And that's kind of the whole problem of them wanting to geo-lock all the Chinese players cheaters against all the other Chinese player leader cheaters. But they certainly probably do need to do something. Alright. This and this and this. PC Gamer has an article, tips for beating the Hearthstone Monster Hunt mode with every hero. I read through it. I suppose it's moderately helpful, but there is also not as much to beating the Monster Hunt elements as there were in the Dungeon Run elements. Like, it took me a month to do the Dungeon Run things. I think it'll probably take me about a week or two to get all the way through the Monster Hunt element, depending on how much time I actually spend playing Hearthstone extra instead of recording other content or doing other work of any sort. Let's see. Let's go and play this. And in the turn. Next game we have on Steam is Grim Tales: The Stone Queen Collector's Edition from our friends Big Fish Game, flooding the Steam market with hidden object games. I mean, seriously. I don't know what you do with Big Fish Games though. Do you tell them, look, slow your roll, only put one game out per month, don't have a $41 collection of Grim Tales games, which only includes 4 games. Stop selling these hidden object games for $12.99. Like, I mean, they're not terrible quality products usually. They're just not worth $12.99 by any joke. Let's hit that again. PC Gamer has an article called Escape the Undead in a cutesy stealth roguelike called Basingstoke, which Basingstoke is like this, I think, city in England. It's just like a tiny little England city. So Total Biscuit was talking about he was going to play this game because he's been to Basingstoke, and he couldn't for the life of them think about it. Why there'd be a game set in the area. It's $25 on Steam. I don't know. Action, adventure, single player. What kind of game is this? Looks like it's a top-down shooter. If it's anything. What are the reviews on this? Positive, 95% of 21 user reviews are positive. I guess I'll put it on my wish list. I'll keep an eye out for it. But I'm very iffy to a game called Basingstoke. Let's see. Lich King. Darn it. PC Gamer has an article right now that says Square Enix is selling a bunch of the Final Fantasy 15 games for 50% off. Big discounts for Golden Week. Golden Week is the week in Japan where there's like nearly a week of national holidays, and it's probably the biggest holiday event in Japan. Probably bigger than Christmas or Valentine's Day or anything like that, or Easter. Remember that Christmas and Easter are Christian holidays, and there's very few Christians in Japan. So that might be good, except for how do you get these? Seems like you buy them from the Square Enix store and you just download them directly. Yeah, so no Steam key, as best as I can tell. So they're giving you 58% off to own these games with it not being integrated into Steam. I would have to double check Steam, but I bet it's not. Like, let's see. Final Fantasy 3, for instance, is supposed to be on sale. So if I search Final Fantasy 3 on Steam and look it up with its mixed reviews, there's no discount on Steam right now. That is not good. Like, that's not how I want to spend my money. Certainly. Still not getting victories. And how does one go to a store home? Yeah. Doesn't seem like Steam is doing a special sale for Golden Week at all, which I'm not super surprised about that, but would be kind of nice. Where are we, by the way? Like, let's just take a moment and ask ourselves this question. We need one more victory with the Major Shaman. We need one more victory with the Druid Rogue. We need more victories on the European account. We are right now on... we need more victories on the Asian account. We're right now, I believe, on the European account. We haven't even gone to the Americas account. Let's just... yeah. Switch over to the Americas account. Let's... like, I'm barely gonna finish here and just have gotten one thing done, and then I'm gonna end up silent post showing for the rest of the evening. I suppose it's gonna take me all night. These easier daily quests are not easier. Shaman, Warlock. So, at least we've got something there. Custom Warlock. Can I play Shaman and Warlock? I can play Murloc on Shamans. And I'm at rank 20 right now. I'll drop back down later. In fact, it's kind of pointless. Like, gonna have to quit. There was, I believe, a glitch in one of the latest NVIDIA graphics drivers where Unity programs like Hearthstone and time clickers were just not running. I'm gonna just play casual because the month hasn't ended for the Americas account yet, and so there's no reason to do that. Next game we have on Steam is called Heavy Blade. They say it's an early access action RPG game. Looks like it's a 3D hack and slash dungeon crawler. You know, it doesn't look too bad to start off with. It's late 90s or mid 2000s. No, I would put this somewhere 2000, maybe even 2010 level graphics. It's actually rather good looking. It's still, you know, we're in 2018, so 4 generations. If you say a generation in graphics is every 2 years, it still might be 4 generations back. It says it's rated M for mature, 10% off of $17.99. Let's see. And the first review is not recommended. Terrible game. I would not recommend playing it if it were free. The video basically sums up the game. Combat mechanics are trash. Graphics are worse than the original Alpha Doom. And maps and enemies do not change. Stay away. And that's the only review in my language. No, that's just the only review, period. I'm like, And see, the thing is, I don't know if these are assets that have been bought, and that's why the skeletons and the monsters look good, and the dungeon walls look good. Like, so many people have done dungeon crawlers and elements from a dungeon crawler. It's easy enough to figure out. Like, you could make a game look a lot better than it actually plays. Which does certainly bring about the question of why do all the Japanese dungeon crawlers have flat 2D bad anime characters, but I guess that's probably what people want for their target audience. Let's see, what can we do? What can I do that would save me when I'm playing Murloc versus Murloc? The other problem is this developer has nothing else on Steam and they want $18 for this game. That, I mean, it looks decent. It has a all-time peak of 1 person playing it. So 1 person's played it, 1 person has said it is horrible. Like, what else can you say about that? They're also selling this game on iOS, so that might be part of the issue too, is that they're trying to sell a mobile port instead of selling an actual made for PC product. I would not rate this game Heavy Blade as being so bad as to have 100% negative reviews, but that's really what it is. Anyway, so I also wouldn't rate it so good though that I put it on my wish list. Like I have real no interest in playing dungeon crawler games. Let's hit this and this. Next game we have on Steam is called Draw It, which looks like a cell phone port. Really, it's from a developer who's made about 3 other games that all look pretty simplistic too. And this Draw It looks like a drawing physics puzzle game. All-time peak of 4 people, 10% off for 89 cents. Do we have any reviews? The one positive review is talking about achievements. How many achievements does it have? 800 achievements. Okay. So we know what this is. This is an achievement game. One of those garbage things. Can we... Your Gamer has an article, obituary Richard Dickinson, industrial designer of the ZX Spectrum. So the person who made the ZX Spectrum a long time ago has died. He made the ZX81, I believe, is what they're saying. And then it got rebranded as the ZX Spectrum as more of a console game instead of the ZX81 being more of a PC thing. Pretty much every few months we're going to have some of the older creators of some of the first generation of game consoles and games pass away, and every now and then we'll get a rare instance in which somebody dies a little younger than they should, although I'm not sure that really applies in this scenario, and that's a cruel thing to say, but a lot of these first generation hardware developers and programmers are pretty old. The game The Invisible Hours apparently reappears on new platforms. So somebody has licensed rescued those games. I heard an interesting YouTuber making kind of a total BS argument that because the game is not available for purchase right now, it's immediately abandonware. It's not something that would stand up in court as an argument. I mean, if that's your justification to go and pirate the game, I mean, fine, do whatever you want to do. You were going to anyways, but just because for 1 second you can't purchase, say, Alice Madness Returns, which is a game that you can get on like EA Origins, but you can't get on Steam. Like, if it was unavailable for 1 day, that doesn't mean that it's immediately abandonware. Abandonware is more of a concept and an actual legal defense that, like, I don't think that's gonna save you if somebody comes after you. Let's see, moving on. Gematsu has some more God Eater 3 gameplay and screenshots. If you want to get on the hype train for that, I don't think I really need to, since I'm trying to wrap up here. And TechRaptor also talked about Call of Juarez Gunslinger officially returning to Steam. Now would be a great time for anybody to gift me the Call of Juarez series. That way, in case it disappears again, I will have it. Hint, hint, I suppose. Do a little e-begging there. Like, budget keeps getting tighter and tighter as Lego keeps announcing more and more sets. They announced a really expensive but giant and beautiful roller coaster set that I desperately want to get, even though I've already spent way too much on Lego for this year in total. The EVE Online executive producer Andy CCP Siegel Norgren is leaving CCP Games. So if you're into EVE Online, that'll mean something. If you're not, that really doesn't mean anything at all. Nintendo and Cygames, CYGAMES, have announced a partnership for a new smartphone action game called smartphone action RPG called Dragalia Lost, which I'm still not 100% certain that these are all coming to the West. It seems like Nintendo Japan is doing a lot of experiments, but that doesn't inherently mean that it's going to be available worldwide. Oh, this one, however, will be launched worldwide, North America and Europe, but starting with Japan, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Maku, M-A-C-A-U? Maku, like, I haven't heard of that country, so that's interesting. Now we need to play a bunch of Warlock class cards and Shaman class cards, and these are the only things I can actually do, so I bet this Warlock deck, without even looking, is Warlock cards. The one screenshot I see of Dragalia Lost is probably some kind of RPG, JRPG game that won't be that good. Doesn't look like it's going to be that interesting, although the art style is going in a slightly different direction, which you kind of have to. Like, every RPG has to go in a different direction these days, because you can't just make it look like an anime RPG, or it will look like every anime that's airing in a season in Japan and every anime RPG that has already come out. And that market is definitely flooded. PC Gamer has an article. Valve posted a notice about the Australian consumer rights. The long legal saga between Valve and Australia's Competition and Consumer Commission is finally over. So, I suppose, though, I mean, what could Valve really have done is that there's two things Valve could have said, is that we're not selling any products to anybody in Australia ever again, and we're not paying the fine, and we don't have any assets in Australia that you can seize, so ha ha ha. Australia, and just cut a market out, which would have been a pretty big market, but it's probably the biggest market that Valve could have cut out of profit and just taken a stand. What Valve clearly failed to do, or maybe they just couldn't achieve their goal, is bribe enough Australian politicians, like they would have been able to do in most countries, to make this go away. So the statement, the notice says, when you buy a video game from Valve Corporation as a consumer located in Australia, the video game comes with guarantees under the Australian consumer law that cannot be excluded, including a guarantee that the games are of acceptable quality. You're entitled to a replacement or refund from the retail supplier of the video games for a major failure, or for compensation for any other reasonable foreseeable loss and damage. You're also entitled to have the games repaired or replaced by the retail supplier of the video games if the video games fail to be acceptable quality and the failure does not amount to a major failure. So one of the issues there would be, it seems like this law is directly telling them that you have a right to patches under the Australian law if you're an Australian consumer, which to maintain whether a game runs or not on modern hardware. I would argue maybe what they can say is it ran at this point, and that's the best you're going to get, is if it ran on Windows XP, and we told you that. So if you upgrade to Windows 10, that's your own fault. That might be the case, but I should be playing cards. All I need to do is play cards, so play cards. Certain other rights are available directly against manufacturers that cannot be excluded or limited. It also feels like this statement is very much putting it onto the sale, well, Valve is the retail salesman, so it kind of feels like they're trying to blame it on the content creators, the game creators themselves, and saying they have to do this, but in all actuality, that's not the case. Let's go ahead and draw a card. So, ideally, Australia has already probably improved Valve for the rest of the world because of this. And it only took suing them for years and fining them for millions of dollars. PC Gamer has another article. Sadly, H1Z1's publisher Daybreak Games has cut the staff. The company said it will continue to service its games despite the layoffs. So Daybreak Game Company, formerly known as Sony Online Entertainment. Wow, I did not realize that there was a Sony element to this. Let's see. Destroy a demon. Do this. Play this. Let's see. They've confirmed that an unknown number of employees have been laid off. The cut comes less than 2 months after H1Z1, an early battle royale game, went free to play. A shift which itself happened just over a week after it launched as a premium game. So, yeah, H1Z1 is having a lot of trouble maintaining any of its audience or making any money. I think they probably felt like they were just going to be the big dog on campus always, and it turns out that's not really the case. Play this. Play this. And the turn. Gamasutra has an article, Xbox earnings on the rise thanks to third-party games and services. I'll leave that for you to look up if you really care. Generally speaking, most announcements from any video game company is going to say something's on the rise. And whatever that something is, it will change. Gamasutra has an article that Ragnarok Online is shutting down its European servers after 14 years. This is because they frankly just don't want to continue to run their service, and it's probably the second or third game we've seen this where, you know, you're not making a lot of money and you don't want to invest anything new into the product. You just want to try to squeeze it for every dime. But now this general data protection regulation from the European Union has been made where people have to opt in. And frankly, from the couple of games I've heard that are shutting down, I don't think they were really collecting your data and selling it to anybody. Maybe they were. I just don't think. I just think they just didn't want to invest any money into it, so they're shutting it down instead. Monday Night Combat was the other game that comes off the top of my head as one that's shutting down, and I imagine we'll see a handful of others, and we'll probably not even hear about most of online services that just quietly shut down. So let's go ahead and play this. Gamma Sutra has another article. Xbox marketing lead Albert Pinello leaves Microsoft after 18 years. I would assume after 18 years, though, you're just retiring and you're done. Time to move on for something else. Prior to working at Microsoft, Pinello worked at EA for 6 years as the publisher's product marketing manager. So you're talking 24 years of working in the video game industry. That sounds more like I'm approaching retirement, or I am retiring, than I'm leaving after 2 or 3 years. We're almost done. Epic PC Gamer has this article that Epic is seeking the default judgment in the lawsuit against a 14-year-old Fortnite cheater and his mom. So they're continuing with this lawsuit, which is ridiculous. It's just terrible PR. Like, frankly, it doesn't matter if this kid and his mom are working together to run the biggest scam as far as Fortnite cheating is. Like, you just gotta move on and not take the PR hit that every time this story is gonna come up. The subtitle here is: the studio said it doesn't matter that the defendant is a minor, he played the game, so he's on the hook. Like, I don't think that's gonna stand up in court. It'd be ridiculous if Epic manages to force a judge to rule against them just because of their vigorous and pointless pursuit. Let's see. And I'm on the Humble store, and I don't believe there's any game bundle right now except for the Capcom and Sega PlayStation bundle, which doesn't mean anything to me. I think Good Old Games was giving away some good games this week. I don't think it was Twitch, although, you know, every month check your Twitch, free loot from Twitch. So that puts me back on my Twitter feed, and as I'm slowly curating and trying to improve my Twitter feed to only be video game related news and not have any other content that's unimportant, not built around that, like it's getting here. Okay, so 8 minutes ago, Team YouTube said some YouTube gaming channels have reported an unusual drop in subscriber count over the week, and thank you for the reports. This is related to a recent fix where we connected sub counts that hadn't been updated for multiple days. The numbers shown today for 30 is accurate. Bull. It's never accurate. It's never right. They don't know what they're doing. And instead of lying through their teeth and making up stories, they should really just be silent and fix things. Because, you know, this is probably the third or fourth time in the past year where Team YouTube has tweeted out something like this and said, "We fixed it now, and we fixed it now, we fixed it now." You never say "we fixed it now" in programming. You think you fixed it. We believe it's fixed, but you don't say "we fixed it now." You say, "Please report any more issues that you may notice," because the truth of the matter is you don't know. Let's see. Like, here's a response. "Can you give us an explanation on why this happens regularly? This isn't the first time this problem has occurred. We would like to know why." The response says, "It was caused by a technical issue or bug. Whenever we discover a technical issue, we work quickly to address it." BS. Like, whoever's in charge of the Team YouTube Twitter particularly is the worst. Like, they need to get all their Twitter accounts, first of all, under control of one department, and they need to teach them to not come off as condescending know-it-all while also being idiots and not knowing anything. Alright, let's scroll down. I suppose new games we'll talk about on Wednesday. Blizzard teases big things coming for the Heroes of the Storm universe. A new comic, Rise of the Ravenlord, hails an increasing focus on narrative of the Nexus. Jeez, I didn't know there was any narrative in the first place. Alright, so what's the other thing I need to do while I'm scrolling down here? Shaman cards. Do we have a Shaman deck? Yeah. We'll just play that. Stardew Valley's multiplayer beta is underway. I guess that's all you really need to know there. Chat Bomb came out with their quick look of Swords of Ditto. It seems like nobody really likes it. It's the problem, I think, is it's just playing against expectations in a poor way. It looks like a Zelda game and then has a roguelike RPG element to it, and the roguelike RPG element certainly doesn't help. Yes, here's the article I tried to talk about earlier. I don't know if I actually explained it well. The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus got an update to add a new character and over 800 more rooms. Kind of wish at this point they would stop making more content for the Binding of Isaac, but I believe that was the last update that they were going to make. PC Gamer is also doing this class of 2008, and they're talking about games from 10 years ago, 2008, and so they have this Mountain Blade Empire Mountain Blade game retrospective of where it came from. Activision says they're having troubles in Black Ops 3, Call of Duty World War II, Modern Warfare Remastered, Infinite Duty. So like every single Call of Duty game is apparently on the exact same server backend, and it's all having the exact same problems. Or somebody is DDoSing them. PC Gamer has an article, the best mesh router for gaming. The answer, I imagine, is none. Go for wired if you want to game. Get that latency down. Twitter Gaming says there's been over 200 million tweets about gaming in 2018. You guys have been busy. And then they also tweeted live from Los Angeles is GameSpot and IGN. And they're using this hashtag NewFronts. which seems like this is some kind of partnership. This is an IGN GameSpot partnership to advertise the big video game Twitter people. It has nothing to do with small independent people like me. Let's see. Scrolling down Twitter. In a weird way, I'm not seeing a lot today, which is usually not the case. So maybe I haven't scrolled down enough, or maybe I'm just seeing a lot of other things. See, tournament goals. FIFA 18 will get a free World Cup content next month. Hearthstone episode 887. Hey, we're gonna hit 900 in about a month. Aired on my channel 3 hours ago. Let's see. There's a report that Tencent could sink 470 million into the Battlegrounds developer Bluehole. So that would be the Chinese government sinking money into it, which will probably be a bad investment, frankly, because I don't think PUBG is going to beat Fortnite. I think Fortnite's going to eat their lunch. Let's just keep on scrolling down. I'm starting to see some articles I think I've already seen. So either we're in it. Resident Evil 5 aired 4 hours ago on my channel. Let's see. Overload. Just keep on playing Shaman cards. Keep on scrolling. Yeah, I'm not really certain there's any more articles. Wow. No games came out on a Monday. Apparently Dragon Quest XI has some pre-order bonuses. We'll talk about those. Wednesday, Strider number 14 aired 5 hours ago on my channel. I haven't gotten any feedback from anybody as far as whether they care or like the fact that the Resident Evil is airing every day now. It's like hard to get anything on that. Okay, Twitch Prime's games for May include Psychonauts Gone Home, Cluster Truck, and Titan Souls. So I may actually have all those games already on Twitch Primes, and that might explain why I haven't seen it, or maybe it doesn't appear until tomorrow. Give me some cheaper Shaman cards. Why is Monday so slow today? Bionic Commando number 19 aired 6 hours ago, which means sadly I've probably been streaming for 6 hours. Let's see. Give me a new basic. There you go, life tap. Scroll. Yeah, I've seen all the news. There's no new news. They must be wrapping up for must be wrapping up and waiting for E3. That's the best I could guess. So let's go ahead and play this game, and then I'm gonna go into a silent post show and just probably for hours and hours. Like, yeah, don't bother watching the silent post show. Yeah, here's me promoting myself. Don't even bother watching it because it's gonna suck. It's been a sucky day for Hearthstone in particular. The news was fine, particularly considering we had to catch up from Friday. So there was news from Friday in there. There was games that came out throughout the weekend. But having to play the Monster Hunt to get the 4 packages to get the daily quest going was a pain, and now it's even more of a pain because I've just probably through nothing but randomness been handed a lot of decks that a lot of daily quests that require you to win, and we're just not in a good position to actually win. Particularly on the European and Asian accounts. It was doable on the Americas account. But that's somebody who has so many cards and who's been playing for years. Like, I would cringe to think about who is actually like how difficult it would be to play this game brand new today. It would be awful. It would be a terrible, terrible experience. And I don't know how you fix that short of a new player bonus. You're new, therefore you get 400 card packs. Or you get all the classic cards. You get something that gives you at least a chance to catch up. And frankly, if they made a system that said, look, you're going to get every week at least one daily quest that says you're going to get this classic pack of basic cards until you have all your basic cards, that would be nice. That would be 100 gold quests guaranteed you every week to help you catch up. It probably take way too many weeks. There's 52 weeks in the year. Would you order 250 cards to collect in basic? I imagine there's a lot more than that, actually. So 5 packs a week every week you play. Maybe that would work. That would give you roughly somewhere around 800 cards by the end of a year. So 800 cards, because you need 2 of every normal and rare and epic. Like, 800 cards seems about the right number to get the entire basic collection. And then you just stop at the goldens. So anytime once you get all the cards, if you get any new card packs, it doesn't guarantee that you get golden versions of it. It just gives you random cards. That would be fine. And meanwhile, you could certainly throw in classic card packs and wild card packs. There's enough wild expansions where you could give away 5 card packs every week to new players, just at random, to fill in wild collections. And I think you need to do something probably that desperate to make this game bearable for new players, to make it bearable for somebody who's been playing for a long time but wasn't playing in the beta, so they're still a little bit further behind than they should be. Bearable for somebody who's only going to play free to play and not put a bunch of money into it. And then inherently there's just problems with this game. There's nothing in this that encourages me to spend money. Like, I would never want to buy packs. And I don't feel like I'd win even if I did. If I spent a couple $1,000s to get every single card that I'm missing on my main account, I don't think that's really going to help me win much more than your standard 60% win ratio at most. I don't think that gets me up to legendary because I still won't play enough. Come on, play. I've run out of things to talk about. I've run out of news. I'm not looking for any more news. So just play. Let's finish this game and then let's wrap up this talking portion. And we'll go on to the post-show. Silent post-show. All night. Let's see. Devolve. Do this. And we'll hope we won. Hope we played enough. It's still very debatable. Didn't play enough, darn it. Very debatable whether I should be playing wild or standard. Like, particularly on my main account. Yeah. See. You could, like I was saying, you could do a pack every week of classic cards, Gadgetzan, Karazhan, Old God cards, Grand Tournament, Blackrock Mountain, Goblins versus Gnomes. Have some weeks just give Nyxramis wings away, and I think Blackrock Mountain wings away. Like, there's, yeah, Nyxramis and Blackrock Mountains were single player expansions, but you could give away all of that to new players and nobody's really going to care. You could give away just 1 of 5 wings to Nyxramis at Blackrock Mountain. Nobody's really going to care. So the idea of giving 5 packs per week could be very easily. Just take your pick of basic cards in any of the wild sets to let new players catch up. And that would certainly make me want to play a lot more than you get 60 gold, half a pack per day, which breaks down to maybe 3.5 packs per week of daily quests. Well, that's it for the talking portion. It's been disappointing with Hearthstone, fine with everything else. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. When you subscribe, please click the notification bell. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, get me a game on Steam. Right now, I'd love the Call of Juarez series in particular. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.